Up next, you got a sneak preview, but now you get the full meal deal. Wayne Schoeneberg is going to take us away. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you. When I was a young man, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and somebody pointed out that I was German and that Germans aren't funny. And so I looked around for another profession, and I did the next best thing. I became a trial lawyer. Now, you just don't become a trial lawyer. You have to have clients. And those clients have to be in a state of desperation. You know that your life is on the ropes when you're sitting in a courtroom next to a trial lawyer. So what I'm going to try and do in the next 30 minutes is tell you some of the things that I learned as a trial lawyer and as an entrepreneur that will keep you out of the courtroom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about contracts a little bit, talk about thoughts of what I think should go in a contract and what doesn't necessarily need to go in a contract, things that you could consider when you're doing a contract. I'm going to talk about various types of contracts that you might want to consider that you'll run across. I'm going to talk about legal entities, ways that you can form your business, and we're just going to go over those in general without going into specifics, because you're never going to be able to make that decision until you've talked to your attorney and your accountant. Then, after we talk about that, what I talk about basically is the three dismal Ds: death, divorce, and disagreements. So we'll talk about divorce a little bit because your speaking business is an asset. It's a business. It's valuable. What have you done to protect it? We'll talk a little bit about that. And then we'll save the last cheery subject, death, and talk about how you can protect your assets in that case. And you're all going there sooner or later, hopefully later, but you're all going there. You know, we call these the three dismal Ds: death, divorce, and disagreements. Well, that's what lawyers call them when we're talking to lay people. When we're at the country club, sipping our drinks over our 2-hour lunch after coming in from the golf course, we call these the three big dollar Ds. They are the grease that keeps the big gears of the legal machinery running smoothly. My goal here today is to keep you from being grease monkeys. Okay? So let's go back and talk about disagreements. No matter how ethical you are, no matter how concerned you are, no matter how honest you are, you're going to have disagreements in your business. It's man's human nature to disagree. I know that right now somebody's out there going, I disagree with that statement. You're going to have disagreements. And so let's talk about contracts. In your materials, you have some suggested contracts. You should not use those. Well, let me give you an example. As you know, I used to represent Chuck Berry. We would send Chuck Berry to Europe to do 20 gigs in 30 days, and we'd use a one-page contract. It said, Chuck Berry will appear at this place, on this date, at this time, and play for 60 minutes, and you will pay him his money before he gets on the plane. That's all we needed. Now, I get 7-page contracts for people who are, as NSA members, are going to come speak to the chapter. And I don't read them. I sign them and I send them back. I'm an expert in divorce. I have handled divorces for over 20 years. I quit doing them a long time ago, quite frankly, because they weren't remunerative enough. I've also had plenty myself. So I know a lot about divorces. First of all, a bunch of you are out there saying, well, divorce, harumph. I love that word, harumph. Harumph. A divorce is never, I'm not even going to listen to this because a divorce is just out of the question for me. I'll never be divorced, and then the rest of you I know are married. So rather than talk to you about prenuptial agreements, I'm going to use what we trial lawyers call demonstrative evidence, and I have 2 volunteers. Would you all come up here, please? At one point, oh, here we go, thank you. was going to say at one point I was promised a hand mic, and there it is.
Are we divorced yet? Do I got to go over there?
Stand by, stand by. And you are?
I'm Carolyn.
And?
Carl.
Carolyn and Carl are volunteers, and I thank them for that. Carl, that's for you. Carolyn, that's for you. Now, Carl, what does that say on the front of your envelope?
I'm a songwriter.
Wonderful. And Carolyn?
My speaking business.
Okay. Well, by the power granted to me by the National Speakers Association, and for this demonstration only, I now declare you man and wife.
Oh, cool.
Carl, I want you to open your songwriter envelope there and tell us what's in there.
There's nothing in there.
Okay. Carolyn, would you open your speaker? Just tear it on open.
Okay.
What's in there?
I have $40 from my speaking business, which is about right.
We'll call those.
Okay.
We'll call those
Money.
thousands. We'll call
Yes,
those thousands.
thousands.
All right.
Okay.
So now that you're married, would you give him $20, please?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Because since you're married, that's now marital property. You didn't have any plans or agreements beforehand about how you were going to divide this money that was your speaking business, did you?
No.
Okay. All right. So now you
But he's
have
gonna spend
you
that
have
on
half
me.
of it.
Because he loves me.
So you both have a half interest in that, and just because I love to see people get married, I give you $10. You hold that side, you hold that side, and that's more marital property. So now your marital estate is worth $50,000. Those are thousands, actually. The zeros are just $50,000, which is pretty good, right? Okay, give me the money. Give me all of it. Because you just got divorced. Now, you didn't have any agreement about how you were going to divide this. You didn't have one before you got married, did you? And you didn't have one after you got married? So now the divorce court gets to decide that, right? And I'm the divorce court. I get to be the judge and the lawyer. So I've thought a lot about this. And Carl, because you have put up with Carolyn for all these years, you get $10 of the $50,000, but you came in with nothing, so that's not bad, all right? Okay. And then Carolyn, because you have been out working hard and doing all these speaking engagements and been away all this time while Carl has been sitting at home playing video games, you get $20,000. Oh, I'm the lawyer, I get the other money. Okay? I mean, a marriage is nothing more than a business relationship that is complicated by romance. The two of you get together and you come to it, and some of you bring big assets. If you're at that point where you're about to get into this marriage, why not take the time to remove the uncertainty and insecurity that is going to undoubtedly invade your marriage at some point? I promise you that at some point there's going to be insecurity and doubt in your marriage if you are married. Hopefully you get past that. And maybe having this agreement in writing about what's going to happen if you do get to that point is going to help you. You need a durable power of attorney. Write this down. This is important. A durable power of attorney. If you have a power of attorney and it does not say in there that it's a durable power of attorney, if something happens to you and you become incapacitated, that power of attorney lapses and is no good and can't be used. So why is that important? Serious injury, serious illness can suddenly thrust you in a position of incapacity, and your business comes to a grinding halt. This business is an asset. You people work hard at building these businesses. I have learned so much from my NSA fans, both of them, friends, about how hard they work. to make their businesses viable. Treat it like a business. So have something in effect that should a serious injury or illness befall you, that business can go on at least temporarily. And the other thing is a medical directive, or what we call a living will. Tell people what you want to happen. I want to talk finally about your estate plan. Now the end is near. And as you face the final curtain, your estate plan, your will, is like your last keynote. It's going to be your last opportunity to be heard. I want to tell you what a pleasure it has been to speak with you. It is always a pleasure when I speak to a group of people and there is not somebody sitting next to me who might go to jail when I'm done talking. Thank you.